So we should be live in Facebook. Let me double check it on my phone because it gets, I'm sure you realize there's always a 10-second delay.
Yep.
And then you're like, oh, I didn't say anything. There's this big gap. Oh, now I did. There we go. So we are live. Welcome, 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 Leisa. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thanks, with a lovely Irish name like Kelly.
Yes.
Isn't it amazing how you could be the whole other side of the country and we could be just sitting here having this conversation? So I'm really grateful that you said yes to have this conversation. So it's just a bit of a chat about you, getting to know you a little bit better. No real alarming, dreadful questions. We don't need to know what colour underwear you have and stuff like that. No, the answer there should be, what underwear? What are you talking about?
Well, you don't want to see what's on the bottom half.
So look, I've known you, I think it's a year now, just over a year, isn't it?
Over, yep.
Yeah, and we've got to know each other, and I remember having a few chats with you, and I love, really fascinated by what you do. So, but first, before we kind of dig into a bit deeper on that, can you tell me a little bit about the Leisa that was, the kind of transition, and how you came to be doing what you're doing now?
Yeah, sure. So I think, you know, it's been a lifelong kind of journey, I suppose. And from when I was a little girl, I had lots of encounters with spirit. I used to collect all sorts of amazing things like rocks and sticks and feathers and stones and crystals, of course. And but I was very, very focused. I put that you know, away quite a few times. I didn't really have people around me to explain to me what was happening to me or what was, you know, what was going on. So I packed up that and put it away quite a few times through my life. And I was very, very focused on my career. My background is managing registered training organisations around the country and in New Zealand. And I was very, very focused on that. And the further up the ladder I got, the less happy I got. And really, it's only been the last couple of, you know, 12 months, 2 years that I've figured out why I was not happy in the corporate scenario, particularly in management, where I had no control over a lot of things. Yeah. So about 8 years ago, through a meditation, I was given the information that one day I'd be teaching about crystals and about energy healing. And I didn't really know how that was going to happen, but sort of over the next, you know, couple of years, that all kind of came to fruition. In November 2018, I finally gave up my career. I'd been working 7 days a week for about 2 years before that. So selling crystals as my side hustle, seeing clients one-on-one, delivering training as well, and then going to the day job, you know, 4 days a week by the time I finished. So then finally, bit the bullet and jumped in and started running my business full time in November 2018, and wondered why I ever left it so late.
How awesome. So tell us what you do now. Like what is the complete package of other than what we can see behind you?
And so there's kind of, I guess, 3 arms to my business. I sell crystals, which was never really meant to be kind of my full-time gig, but over the COVID period, it's kind of turned into the full-time gig. Yeah. I also see clients one-on-one for healing. So the healing work that I do is mostly crystal healing, shamanic practices, which I'm deeply into, and you know, and general energy healing. And then the third arm of that business is that I run a diploma in crystal healing and crystal shamanism, which is what I love. The teaching is what I love, and since COVID, I've been able to move all of that online, which is fantastic, because previously it was all face-to-face. And, you know, I've travelled around the country delivering that, particularly through Victoria and New South Wales. So it's been great because I've been able to, you know, connect with people who live in WA and, you know, northeast Queensland and all around the place. That's great.
Oh, absolutely. It's made an old memory came up on Facebook for me today, and I was like, oh my God. I remember somebody saying, why don't you put your 2-day workshops online? Or, oh, no, we're not ready for that yet. And, you know, I have one coming up, and I've just done one there a few months ago, and half days and lead ups and everything. It's like, oh my God. Even at the beginning of it, I think I did a few videos showing people how to use Zoom.
Yeah, I watched one of those.
Oh, did you? Well, there you go. Because it was just, oh my God, I've been doing this for ages, and people are screaming out, here you go, here's a quick video. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is amazing to, I guess the post that came up for me today, what it was it's amazing when you're forced into what actually could have been an opportunity, but you didn't see it as such, but you're forced into it. The opportunity that actually was there all the time, and we just couldn't see it.
Yeah.
So,
You know, yeah, exactly. And I've, you know, been delivering training for, I don't know, 25 years or something. And I've been an e-learning developer for many years in my, you know, as a side gig in my corporate career. But, you know, to move over and run what I do, what I love to do online has been amazing.
yes, that would have to be, because you would think that it is more of a face-to-face, in the room, experiential. So how do you create that experience in online?
Well, look, there's a lot of preparation that goes into creating what we call that sacred space and that sacred circle before we start online. So I spend a lot of time, behind me down on the floor is my altar. I spend a lot of time calling in my allies and my team of light. And of course all of my students, teams of light. So that's, you know, what you would probably know as your spirit guides and your guardians and things. We do a lot of that work calling those people in. And then online, we have a Facebook group, so people are able to connect that way as well. And it's not just me talking to, you know, my participants, it's them participating. And we break off into breakup rooms, and they, you know, have conversations one-on-one in there as well. So, you know, friendships are formed out of these groups. And it's amazing the work that I do in the spirit realm in terms of shamanism. It means that we don't have to be sitting next to each other to experience that. It's all about the sacred space that we create, and the bond that we create in that circle.
Amazing. And yeah, look, because I've done lots of different stuff, and I actually did, oh my God, it's gone straight out of my head, psychosomatic therapy.
Yes.
And the group that we did the psychosomatic therapy training with, one of the guys is a shaman as well. So it was quite intense because he's a very, very strong energy. Like, and I mean, just to be in the room, it was just fascinating. So that's why I said to you, how is that portrayed? But it's amazing what you can do online. So how do you get people into your course? Like, how do you market your course then?
Good question. I serve, I suppose, a lot of people. I've been traveling around for a couple of years now, at psychic expos and wellbeing expos, so people know me from that. I also run a group on Facebook called the Crystal Boutique, which is where I sell my crystals from, but also it's a place for education. So I have a live every Tuesday night where people have the opportunity to ask me any question they like about crystals or about healing. And then also, you know, I give information about crystals that I love and stuff like that. And I guess a lot of it's word of mouth as well. I've done quite a lot of training in a small little place on the border called Albury-Wodonga, which you may or may not know.
I've been there. I used to live in Victoria.
Perfect. Well, I used to live up in Albury-Wodonga. So I had a lot of clients up there, healing clients, and then, yeah, kind of word of mouth, I guess. And, you know, I also have my group, which is the Healing Practitioners Network. So, you know, students have kind of come from, you know, all over the place, and some just completely randomly, you know, that have just happened across, you know, me on Facebook and connected with me and said, yep, that's what I want to do. And I spend a lot of time. It's really important for me that everybody that comes along to one of my workshops gets what they came for, and that they have the opportunity to either do the healing that they need to do themselves, and or start to move into being a practitioner and helping others.
Mm.
So I put a lot of time and effort in.
And what's the goal with the business? Like, is it, is it where it is right now, that's it? Or you want to, you have a bigger, some people say purpose, goal, whatever word you want to put on it.
Yeah, look, that's a great question. I'm not entirely sure. I guess eventually I've been asked to run a couple of retreats, which, once the COVID situation's over, that will, be put into motion, which is fantastic. And I guess probably that's where I'm going, is running retreats. And I do a lot of, I'm a ceremonialist, a shamanic ceremonialist. So a lot of my work is kind of pointing towards, that direction. And really, I guess my project here on earth is love, and how I spread that love, is through that ceremonial work and the teaching that I do.
And it's vital with such important work that people can see you, that they can, access you and your skill and whatever. Like, and I knew the surface of it. I'm even listening to it and going, oh yeah. But that bright shiny syndrome happens for me a lot too. So tell me, with all of this, so what is success to you?
Success to me, I guess, is being happy, which is my motto. Life is not meant to be so difficult, and I guess the end goal of life is to be happy, and if you reach that, then that's success to me.
How do you know if you're happy?
Well, that's a really good question. I guess if you wake up in the morning and you are able to put aside any troubles and you make a decision that the day is going to be a good one, then, and you keep working on yourself to peel back those layers and do all that healing, then, to me, that's a path to happiness. Yeah,
I've got to go. I wake up in the morning with that sounds like hard work. I'm not sure if it's happy. It's just interesting, as in, we use generalized terms, and they're not good, bad, right or wrong, but we say, I want to be happy. It's like, well, I always get curious, what is happy to you? Because happy to you may not be happy to that one, may not. So people say, I'm striving to be happy, and everyone else needs it too. It's like, well, do they? But what is their happy?
Exactly. It's different for everybody, and for me, happy is the fact that I get up every day and do what I love to do, and it's not just, as I said, selling crystals was never meant to be my my main kind of source of income or my full-time job, but what it allows me to do is to walk my talk, basically, and spend every day in ceremony, in meditation, in prayer, which when I was, running around like a pork chop in the corporate world, I didn't have time to do that.
Yeah. It's interesting. Let's talk about time, because it comes up in a lot of interviews. And what do you believe about time?
I'd love to believe that time was a figure of my imagination, but it's just not. I think the more you put out there that you're busy and that you don't have time, then you don't have. But I have never been so busy right now through COVID than I've been before. And there aren't enough hours in the day for me at the moment. And I would like to be, I'm a linear kind of time girl, and I'd like not to be. But, that's the way life goes.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people, especially as you would know in the corporate world, and they talk a lot about time management. And I have a little giggle to myself every time they say it, because I go, well, how can you manage time? You can't put it in a bloody wheelbarrow. You can't put it over in the corner and say, oh, you just stay there, I'll come back and get you when I want it. And it's not the time, it's ourselves we have to manage. And that's what I think we had a quick discussion beforehand, and I talked about veto power. And it's your ability to be able to veto out what doesn't concern you, doesn't impact you, what isn't in your best interest, whatever way you want to put it right now. But even in business, it's the same. Like, you know, sometimes I'll be a little bit honest here. I was up very late last night because I had a thing that I had to finish. Now, the joys, I think, of working for ourselves is this morning I lay in a little bit later than I normally would. And that flexibility. But it's, yeah, time is time.
Exactly. And I think for me, time, I need to be better at creating boundaries around time so that I have more time to do the things that I want to do. And that's all part of learning, you know, because when you went to work and you did a corporate job, you kept working until, in management, you kept working until the job was done, or you picked up and left it there for the next day.
Yeah.
But today with, particularly on the crystal side of my business, and people have access to you 24/7 because of social media, they expect you to get back to them pretty quickly. And yeah, that's where I need to be better at creating boundaries so that I do have more time to do the things that I want to do.
Yeah, it's interesting you say boundaries. I believe when I first kind of escalated my business more, because like it's all, I've had it as a side hustle since Jesus was a child. But one of the things that a very clever mentor said to me, I had actually educated my audience that I didn't have the boundaries and that I would just keep giving stuff away for free. And it was a huge lesson, and quite often for people in business, an expensive lesson to learn, because we're taught to serve. And while I do agree with serve, anyone that knows me knows I'm quite generous with my time and, you know, strategizing and whatever. But there comes a time that it's a fair exchange. And it comes back to what we believe about time or what we believe about money. And you're so right. We have to put those boundaries in order to, because otherwise we educate other people how to treat us is probably what I'm trying to say.
Exactly. I agree. Yeah. Yeah.
So with that in mind, what's one of the biggest mistakes that you've made along the way in your business?
Oh, good question. I guess the thing that I've come to realize just recently is that I've done things on a small scale, and that doesn't necessarily, and what I mean by that is just some things really simple, like, for example, buying boxes from the post office rather than going to the wholesaler and buying 100 boxes at the one time, or scrounging around and buying, you know, because I use a lot of organza bags, for example, buying them from the junk shop for $2, you know, you get 5 for $2 instead of going and buying bulk from a wholesaler. So in terms of the resources, the things that I use, I've done things. It's cost me a lot of money to do that.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing that I don't know. I guess I haven't really at this stage made too many other mistakes. My tax is always an issue that I make mistakes on. My financial stuff I'm hopeless at.
Well, don't keep telling yourself that. So look, tell us then, with the crystals, I'm fascinated. I have so many around my house as well. So with the times of, you know, that we find ourselves in, who knew 12 months ago, what are some of, and I know this is quite a broad question, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. What are some of the best crystals to have in your house, whether it's beside your bed, wherever? What are some of the best crystals that you would recommend? Say the top 3.
Yeah, I would. My favorite crystal to have around the house is selenite, because selenite is an amazing clearer of energy. So if you come in through the day and you have you've had an argument at work with someone, or you have an argument with your partner when you walk in the door, Selenite is amazing for clearing out any gunk from the auric field and clearing away that energy, that negative energy. So I literally have selenite on all of my door frames through all of my house. I have a lot of people in and out of the house because I run my shop and my healing business from home as well. My second one would be amethyst. Amethyst is one of my favorite all-time crystals, and what amethyst does is it helps clear all of the, it's great through all of the subtle bodies. So it will help with the physical body, the mental body, emotional and spiritual. And it's a great all-rounder, and it's a beautiful crystal.
I'm having a giggle because I have one that's up past my waist, an amethyst, like
Beautiful.
one of the big, huge things.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm happy with that. Yeah. And the third one?
Absolutely. The third one could be any of the crystals that come to mind for me. For example, rose quartz is a beautiful one for love, spread love. If you have chaos in your house, so if you've got kids who are full of energy, there's a lot of arguments, the place is not calm, some beautiful blue stones are great. So things like blue lace agate, blue fluorite, blue kyanite, any of those blue crystals are amazing. And then if you have negative or heavy energy around the place, black tourmaline is also amazing as well.
Wow. Yeah, so, that's amazing. It's so like, it comes to you like that. And it just goes to show no matter what we do in life, it's what becomes familiar to us and what we study and what we experience and what we look at and what we shine the light even more on just becomes our truth and becomes real for us. Because I know many, many years ago, my ex-husband, who has since passed actually, but if I ever talked about anything spiritual or like that, his go-to phrase was, "That's just your airy fairy ways." And now I know that was quite typical of an Irishman at that era, so it's not to knock him, but it was quite interesting because that was the experience of a lot of people in which they would shut it down. And I think it's so amazing that things are so much more open now. And, you know, I love asking you that question and you go straight to, like, I kind of go, yeah, I have a few crystals around. I've got salt lamps. I haven't really got an idea what I have where. Some of them I do. I knew that was a big amethyst because I do some healing work here as well. But I wouldn't know what they all do or it's like, ugh. So I'm really fascinated by the power of because everything's a vibration at the end of the day, isn't it?
Absolutely, everything's a vibration.
Yeah, and it's just what level you're vibrating. So what are some of your, I know that you had said that you need to put boundaries around, but what are some of the success habits that you have set up around your business?
Well, this year I've been very good at making time in my calendar to see one-on-one clients. Before I was just saying to clients, you let me know when you want to come and I'll fit you in. Whereas these days I'm much, much better at saying, you know, I'm available Tuesday and Wednesday, this time, and this time. And that's kind of it, not giving anybody the choice, which has created huge success for me personally. And also for my clients, they know, you know, it's not open-ended. Also this year I decided, I used to do a lot of expos, so a lot of traveling around. So this year, even before COVID kind of came around, I decided that I was going to not do as many expos and sell my crystals from home more. So I opened my shop and I put boundaries around when people could come and pick up or even look at crystals. So, and now when people say, can I pop around today, for example, you know, I'll say no. If it doesn't suit, I'll just say no, I'm open on Thursday and Friday between this time and this time. So that's been real success for me. And I guess the other thing that is probably why my crystal side of my business has taken off is because I take great care. I handpick everything that I sell. I take great care in only selecting genuine, you know, high quality crystals. and I give a lot of information and a lot of education around those crystals. And I'm not afraid to show people how to test to see whether those crystals are genuine.
Yeah.
And even my suppliers come to me and ask me whether crystals are genuine.
How do you test them? I'm fascinated now. How do you test the crystals?
Well, there's lots of different ways that you test crystals. It depends on what the crystal is. So, for example, a clear quartz. So, a clear quartz, if it's clear quartz, it will scratch a piece of glass, but glass doesn't scratch glass. So, my good old Vegemite jar that's in the fridge often has scratch marks across the side of it. Like amber, for example. Amber, there's a whole few different ways to test amber. One of those is real amber will float in salt. And a lot of the ways that I test crystals is either through weight or what they call a specific gravity. So I measure a lot of, do a calculation to measure them all. Or otherwise they, where I get them from, I trust them, color, structure, because the crystal lattice, if you can see the crystal lattice, you can test that way. So there's a whole bunch of ways.
Wow, that's fascinating. Who knew? Who knew? Oh my God, we could talk for ages. I can't believe we've been talking for almost 30 minutes already. And look, I'm just fascinated by even these few minutes, and that's why I'm going, you need to talk to more people. You need to get it out more. This one-on-one stuff should be the high end. You should be one-to-many and even more, but you know that, of course. And I think in these present times that people are looking more, probably why you're busier, people are looking more about, well, what can they bring into their space to help, aid, whatever, whether it's meditation, whether it's crystals or whatever, to help them be better and ward off whatever else as well. So it doesn't surprise me at all that you're even busier. So before we finish up, because it's almost time too, if people wanted to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that, Leisa?
Yeah, probably Facebook is the easiest place to get hold of me. So my business name, they can contact me through my personal profile. So Leisa Kelly is my personal profile, and it's public, so people can access me there.
And it's spelled Leisa.
Leisa. My business name is Soul Magic, and you can see it in the banner. I'm sorry, it's backward, but Soul Magic with
no, it's not backward.
Oh, isn't it? Oh, God, it's backward for me.
Yeah.
Soul Magic with Leisa is my business page, and then from there they can find the Crystal Boutique, and they can join the Crystal Boutique and send me private messages from there, or look up my phone number on my website, which is soulmagic.com.au, and contact me that way.
Cool. That's awesome. Leisa, it's been amazing chatting with you. As I said, I'm just sorry that it's so short, because it's like, oh my God, I could learn even more and more. So, thank you so much for coming on and having a chat with me today.
Great.
That's absolutely my pleasure. All right. So for now, it's bye from me.